Hi, my name is Marvin, and I can't believe how the world has ended up. It feels like a nightmare. It all started a while back when me, Rose, and Jeffy were sitting on our couch watching TV. Jeffy with his stupid antics and me telling him to stop until the program was interrupted by a breaking news. Breaking news. The sun has vanished from the sky. We don't know why this has happened, as we weren't aware of any eclipse, so for now stay indoors until further updates. Rose began to panic, telling me, "Oh my God, Marvin, what is happening? Are we all gonna die?" Jeffy seemed unfazed by the news. I then was comforting Rose, telling her this is probably just an eclipse that no one saw coming, and the sun would come up soon. Also, it doesn't change much, as it's just dark outside, and there is no need to be scared of the dark. Jeffy then replied, "It's not the dark that's scary, Daddy. It's what's in the dark." I suddenly got mad and yelled at him as he wasn't really helping. However, Rose managed to calm down, and the programming returned, and we all just went back to doing our normal things. The sun never returned, and all we knew is that NASA was trying to find out why this was happening. However, no one really seemed to care. Jeffy was happy because school was canceled, and things just went by normally in the house, until one day the lights went out. We heard a scream as Jeffy ran down upset, saying how now he can't play Fortnite with his friends. Rose began to panic as she was stressed about the whole sun vanishing. Now the power was out, and none of us were sure it would come back. I remembered about an old emergency radio I had, and I went to go get it. And luckily it still had some batteries in, and I turned it on, switching to different stations until I found one working, and I heard a voice say, "This just in, the power has gone out worldwide, and many businesses and stores have shut down, and traffic jams have been increasing a lot. Please stay indoors and check your home for emergency supplies." We all were shocked by the news. Rose began crying as she said she's scared and that we were all gonna die. Jeffy just kept complaining that he couldn't play with his friends online. Irritated, I slapped him and then scolded him. "Jeffy, can you shut up? There are more serious issues going on in the world right now." Rose then got mad at me for hitting Jeffy, and we all began to argue until we heard a sudden screeching sound. We all froze in fear. Goosebumps ran down my spine. "What was that sound?" Rose said in a scared tone. I could also see Jeffy scared too. I then realized I was the man of the house. I had to protect my family, so I said I would check out the sound. I went by the small blinds by the door, and my heart sank as I saw this faceless, pale creature standing by the door, and that it made the screeching sound again. I went to cover my ears, but accidentally hit in the class, and that creature noticed me, and I quickly ran back to the living room where Rose and Jeffy were. I ran to them a bit out of a breath and said, "We need to hide." Rose asked what was wrong, but there was no time to explain, as I suddenly heard glass shatter. I knew there wasn't much time, so I quickly grabbed Rose by the wrist and headed for the back door as I heard the screeching sound behind us. I opened the door as me, Jeffy, and Rose got out. "What was that thing, Marvin?" "I don't know," I then said, "but it's not human and looks dangerous. Where are we gonna go?" Jeffy then said in a worried tone. I wasn't sure, but I knew we had to get out of there. One by one, we carefully helped each other hop the fence, and when it was my turn, I felt a huge scratch on my leg. I turned back and saw that thing up close. It was screeching. I was paralyzed in fear. However, Rose quickly pulled me out, and I was on the other side with Jeffy and Rose. We then began to run. I groaned a bit in pain as the scratch on my leg hurt and was bleeding out. We heard the creature behind us, but we kept running until we made it to the woods. We then stopped to catch our breaths. I then took a look at my leg, and my pants was soaked in blood. "At least we're safe here," Rose said, as all of a sudden I heard the screeching sound. However, it came from a different direction. I got up, and me, Rose, and Jeffy began walking through the woods carefully, not wanting to run into that creature. As we were walking, we saw in horror, as we saw more of those things walking around the woods screeching. Suddenly, Jeffy began bolting off screaming. Rose tried to run after him, but I stopped her as I didn't want her to get hurt by those creatures and was scared of being alone. Suddenly the creatures noticed him and began chasing after him, and we saw as he ran until he was out of our view range. We didn't hear any screams back from Jeffy, so we weren't sure if he was dead or not. Rose began to sob into my chest. I comforted her and said, "Shh, it's okay. I know, but we can't go look for him right now. We have to find a way out of these woods and somewhere safe to go." Rose then nodded and said, "You're right, Marvin," in a tearful tone. We then began to walk through the woods, through a different direction, being careful as we saw more of those creatures, and we didn't want to alert them. We walked for what seemed like hours until we saw a small cabin a few feet away from us. Hopeful, we ran to it and knocked, asking if anyone was there as we needed help. After a few knocks, some guy opened the door pointing a rifle at us and asked who we were. We put our hands up. I explained to the guy that we meant no harm, and that me and my family live in a house a bit far from here, and we were being chased and attacked by those creatures. And I also told him how my leg was bleeding out and that we needed help. The man seemed to believe us, and he put his rifle down. He introduced himself as Billy Bob Tanley, and he has been dealing with these creatures for the past couple of weeks, and to come in as he would help us out.